Worden's Rooster Tail Spinners have been around since the 1950s. They come in 10 different sizes and over 100 different color and blade combinations. And in today's video, I'm going to share 7 tips to help you catch more trout with the Rooster Tail Spinners. What is going on, you out there Mavericks? Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we're going to talk about trout fishing spinners, and in particular, the Worden's Rooster Tail Spinner. Now for me, there's no better bite than casting out a spinner and getting a massive takedown and feeling that rod bend and getting a huge hookup trout fishing with spinners. So starting with tip number 7, I like to go with a 1/8 ounce or a 1/6 ounce spinner as my go-to sizes and weights. Now the reason I like the 1/8 and the 1/6 the most is I feel that those fish the best and most consistent on multiple bodies of water. So if you are limited to the amount of spinners you can pack in or the amount that you can buy, the 1/8 and the 1/6 are perfect. Now I like the 1/8 and 1/6 spinners for fishing little streams, little rivers, definitely small ponds. You can get away with them on lakes, especially when you're bank fishing. They're great to be casting with the right amount of weight, and these sizes are perfect to be paired with 10-pound braided line to get really good casts. And as anglers, we should always be prepared for multiple different kinds of conditions, and that's why I like a 1/4 ounce on windy days when bank fishing. It is the perfect way to get through that wind, get your cast out there, and get a big hookup. Now tip number 6 has to deal with the blades of the Rooster Tail Spinner, in particular putting a little nail polish that's non-reflective on those spinner blades. Now the Rooster Tail Spinner comes in about 100 different color and blade combinations, and one of the things that I love is there are a lot of silver and a lot of gold blades in the Yakima Bait Rooster Tail Spinner varieties. Now we talk about gold being a great color in the morning and silver being a great color during the day when you got a little bit of shade versus a little bit of sun when you've got those blades. However, I really like to change it up and experiment with things, and being able to add a little bit of nail polish to the blades will add in some different features and some different colors that the fish might like. And in particular, I like painting some of my blades all black with some nail polish. Gives it a little bit of a dark vibe and something that the trout absolutely can't resist. So if you're like me and you love experimenting and being a mad trout scientist, grab a little non-reflective nail polish, play around with those spinner blade colors, do some funky little designs on there, and when you find something that works, it could be deadly combination. Now tip number 5 is to tip your spinners with a little night crawler. Now one of the things I love about spinners is you got the treble hooks, and you definitely increase and get more hookups with that treble hook than you would a single hook. And with that treble hook, you're able to add a little bit of bait into the back of that spinner for extra attraction and extra scent. And one of the things that I love to do is to add a little worm to the back of that treble hook, have it just dangling off the back, and the trout absolutely go nuts over it. And it's one of the tips that I share when you're having a slow day out spinner fishing. It's one of those things that you can add on. It's super subtle, super simple, but can make a huge difference at the end of the day. There are other baits that you can add to the back of those treble hooks with your spinners, but night crawlers is my number 1 and a great tip to add in when you're fishing with spinners. Now tip number 4 is going to be adding gel scent to your spinner blade. Now Procure makes really good gels that we use a lot in steelhead and salmon fishing, but you can also apply them to trout fishing and dab a little bit on spinner blades, rub it on there, get a little bit of a layer, and add in some extra scent to your Rooster Tail Spinner. You won't disturb the rotation of the blade. You can still cast it out there a long ways. It still retrieves in the same way, but you add a little bit of extra scent into your presentation, and that could be the difference at the end of the day. Now tip number 3 is going to be to fish the Rooster Tail Spinners with 10-pound braid as your main line. And one of the reasons that I love to go with the 10-pound braid with the Rooster Tail Spinners is they pair up really well. You're able to cast the spinners a lot farther than you would with mono or fluorocarbon, and with a little swivel up top, you're going to be able to reduce line twist. And the durability of the braided line is what you want the most. You can fish it all day and not have to retie a knot. It's not going to wear down on you as easily, and it's super durable, and you're able to cast out your spinner a lot farther with that braid because it's going to come off the spool and through the eyelets much cleaner than mono or fluorocarbon. And so being able to cast out there a little bit farther out into the water from the bank gives you a huge advantage. So make sure you pair up your Rooster Tail Spinner with 10-pound braided line. Now tip number 2 is to add scent to the Rooster Tail tail at the back of the Rooster Tail Spinner. Yakima Bait partnered up with Procure to come up with Rooster Tail sprays specifically made for the Rooster Tail tail. The most distinctive part of the Rooster Tail Spinner is that rooster tail. And one of the things you can do is take this Rooster Tail spray, add it into that rooster tail to give your bait a different dimension. When we talk about trout fishing and fishing in general, it's about sight, scent, and sound. Well, spinners, one of the things they lack is scent. But with with the Rooster Tail, you're able to add in and spray in some scent that's not going to deter or change the blade spinning, but you're going to add in scent, which is a huge deal and advantage across all the other spinners that are out there. Now, when you grab some Rooster Tail Spinners, grab some Rooster Tail scent. This is what's going to separate you from being a good to an amazing trout fishing angler. And my number one tip for fishing with Rooster Tail Spinners is to retrieve them really slow or really fast. And here's what I mean by that. With most trout fishing spinners on the market, they're set up for a fast retrieve and a blade that moves really fast, that can vibrate, and is really an aggressive thing that the trout are gonna go after. But with the Rooster Tail Spinner, you can retrieve it much slower and get a nice just thump and that blade moving around at a slower speed. And sometimes that can be the difference in something that the trout are actually gonna key on and go after. And as I said, when you got all those other spinners and they're super obnoxious, the blade goes really fast, they make a lot of noise, and they're just kind of in your face, sometimes you can scale that back. And with the Rooster Tail, you can have a nice slower retrieve, a different speed of presentation, and that's what the Rooster Tails were built for, that slower retrieve speed, which is something that separates itself on the market from a lot of the other trout spinners that are out there. And definitely throughout the different trout fishing seasons of the year, that slower presentation, especially in the cooler water in the spring, the late fall, and the winter time, could be a game changer, and the reason why you're going to catch more trout in those time frames with the Rooster Tail Spinner than any other spinner out there. Alright, and that is my top 7 trout fishing tips for the Rooster Tail Spinner from Yakima Bait Company. I hope you guys got some information and tips out of today's spinner tips video to help you catch more trout the next time you hit the water. And if you like the tips and information out of today's video, smash the thumbs up on the video. If you are new to the channel, consider subscribing if you love trout fishing tips, and other outdoor content. And don't forget, and as always you guys, the outdoors is a gift. Share it with others.